G'day there, welcome back to The Rayside. My name is Hannah, and today we are dabbling in a world of Star Wars that I don't usually venture into, but it's the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, my favourite Star Wars movie. So I have been in a world of love and joy of all the Phantom Menace Lego sets, from seeing it in the theatres to all the fun in between. It has been a fantastic celebration of this movie. I'm going right back to 1999, the year I was born and this movie was released. And we're going to be reading some of the one-star reviews from IMDb and seeing what people really had what problems people had with this movie. I had the pleasure of just blissfully watching this and experiencing this movie when I was about 10 years old, and I just watched all the movies, loved it, never knew until I was much older on the internet. I'm like, wow, a lot of people did not like this. I haven't really deep dived into why or how or what people are saying that they didn't like this movie for. I can't really call this, they're critics. I guess they're critics. They're critical of the movie, but I think they're just bozos, really. So 1 out of 10 stars for Grifter84. Great start. The title of this review, this one's called "When Does the Hurting Stop?" Fantastic. Let's take us there. This was his review on 11th of October 1999, so 5 days before I was born. There you go. So Grifter has to say about The Phantom Menace. This movie is a perfect example of when what could have been one of the most brilliant movies ever made, through the incompetence of only one man, into one of the worst. Right, okay. I cannot listen in detail the number of ways. He cannot list in a detailed way the number of ways. Dude, have you seen the length of your list you got following this? Anyway, the ways this movie could have been made better, and they are all mind-bogglingly simple and George Lucas's fault. Wow, we're really naming names here. Even so, I will try to condense them into a short list. Well, you didn't try hard enough. This is a long bloody review, champ. This is a long review. Let's get into it. Number 1, actors and casting. What have you got a problem with? I have to give all of the actors credit for this because I know they tried their best. Even Jake Lloyd. Don't you go there. Don't go there. The movie did not give me a single reason why I should have cared for any of the characters, and I can't explain why I did anyway. What? I can't explain why I did anyway. Wait, so you did, hang on. You're already contradicting yourself here, Grifter84. You don't care, but you did anyway. Okay, that, it doesn't even make sense, sure. Let's carry on. And also, this is a review. You can't say I can't explain why. Just try, at least try. You're reviewing something. I can't count how many times people have told me how much better Haley Joel Osment would have been in the role. What role? And I am most inclined to agree with them. Supposedly there's some dark and ominous, there's something dark and ominous about the Anakin character that all of the Jedi Council can see. After all, he's going to be Darth Vader, right? Right, but who's Haley Joel Osment? Is that someone I meant to know? Is that a Star Wars thing that I meant to know? Oh, this guy looks familiar. Couldn't tell you what he's in. He looks familiar. I've definitely seen his face a bunch of times. He's probably in something, but imagine him. That would have been funny. Osmond's projects that fear, which leads to anger, anger, which leads to, etc. Can't even finish the line. And Lloyd just looks like your run-of-the-mill blonde California Cabbage Patch Kid. Yes, but that's Luke Skywalker. Yes, but that's the style. They based Anakin's Tatooine style as a 10-year-old from how they did Luke, really. So do you dislike Luke's look of that? Anyway, you'd call him a terrible actor if it weren't for the great sci-fi writer Orson Scott Card, who personally knows Lloyd, observed, "Jake Lloyd's a good actor and it's a pity you didn't get to see it on screen since it had no direction or screenplay." What? In the same way, Liam Neeson is a great actor, but you didn't see that on screen because he had no direction or screenplay. Here we go. This is where I can dispute this, because Liam Neeson's portrayal of Qui-Gon, the presence he brought to that character and his portrayal on screen, I found to be tremendous. The presence he brought. You knew Qui-Gon was there. And when he was standing there, it was loud in a good way. He was one of those, and that's what makes him like this reverent Jedi that everyone talks about, because he had this presence about him. And that really, that was through his delivery, his body language, his, even his facial expressions. yes, they're toned down, but they're in a certain way. They're a very specific way he's expressing himself all throughout the movie to give him that, to give him that presence. So, disagree with you there, Grifter84. Which brings me to my second fault. Grifter says, 2, direction. Let's face it, George Lucas has lost it. Oh no, he's gone far from the great actor's director he was when he made American Graffiti to a special effects artist gone wildly out of control. I do give him some credit. It takes a lot of deliberate effort to sap all of the energy and life out of Ewan McGregor. Okay, alright, so, okay. I can already tell Grifter84, I hope he's still around. Imagine if he could see this video right now. I can tell that human growth and development as a person isn't your strong point. I think that's what we're facing here. I mean, to say, like, George's directing techniques, they're subjective for sure. And I can't say they're perfect, not that, well, it's just a subjective thing. It is an art form. It's a form of art that you have to, take on with your own lens, and you enjoy it or you don't enjoy it. But to say, like, he's insane and out of control for, like, artistically exploring technology within film was kind of hilarious. Like, really? Do you just want to, let's all just sit in black and white forever and mime things? Is that what you want, Grifter84? I don't know. But, and again, the Ewan McGregor's role as Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace is really interesting because it's not a lot. But what we do get, it is quite emotional. Like, most times we see, like, the opening scene, he's, like, worrisome, and he's, like, asking Qui-Gon for help and, like, mentorship. And he's got, you can feel that energy and you can feel that emotion that Obi-Wan has. Not to mention, all the kind of dealings a little bit throughout the movie. And then, he really kind of comes into it in the climax of the movie. The death scene of Qui-Gon, very emotional. Really shouldn't be a Jedi thing to be that emotional, but he is. And then, he's kind of plea to Yoda about having to train Anakin. And to the end of the movie where where he speaks to Anakin, it's always very emotive and full and rich. And I found his delivery, as much as his character is, like, really not in the film all that much, I found it a really rich performance. So that's interesting to say, sap all of the energy and life out of Ewan McGregor. What do you want me to do? Doing a dance or something while he's doing this? Anyway, Grifter, point 3. Screenplay/plot. This is the section that really makes me wince. Great word. And proves that there's nobody left in Hollywood with the courage to tell George Lucas that he can't write. I mean, logical inconsistencies aside, the dialogue is simply ridiculous. If a first grader were called in a script consultant, he could most likely have improved this movie. That's, like, it's funny when things are always either, like, too simple or too complex for people. And I chalk this down to George wanted quite complex themes to be conveyed in quite a simple way. And again, it comes back to, there is subjectivity to it. It's like, that is maybe for you, maybe not for you. Like, that's fair. That's very, like, that's just open out there. No one can actually argue on that. But to say it's poorly written, I think is misplaced. I think if you're someone that doesn't like the writing of the prequels, it comes down to that isn't your style. That isn't your communication style. That isn't how you hear a story and follow a story. But George Lucas made it very clear that this was very accessible for kids, as the original trilogy was. It's very accessible for kids. It's a sci-fi action movie for a lot of ages, and if not adults, but there is very much that angle perspective that he wanted this to be accessible for kids. So to make it simple, I didn't find it childish, the dialogue. I found it simple, but I kind of like that. And then this comes back to, I think, a further perspective I have, and I think a lot of people have, it's just factual. It's very, it's that Art Nouveau. It's that very poetic. It's that very symbolic movie. It's really large in its scale of what it's trying to tell. So the simplicity of dialogue is actually what emphasizes that. The really major themes of war and destruction and the prophecy, the prophecy of Anakin and meeting Anakin Skywalker, those are really big points in the Skywalker saga and in the movies and in Star Wars. And so the dialogue, in my opinion, the dialogue being simple actually aids that plot line and aids that story to come to the audience, and for the audience to like immediately connect and understand. It's like, this what's the fact of the matter? Okay, he needs to be trained. He's the chosen one. Like, imagine if that wasn't clear, and at the end of the movie, you have to be like, so, like, what's the kid? Is the kid cool? Like, you know what I mean? It has to be straightforward. We have to, because that's what gets us into these really big, believable space battles and planets and species and the Senate and everything happening. That's what draws us in and makes us go, yeah, this is all, like, this is where we're at in the galaxy. It has to be simple. Anyway, I did not know I had this much to say about the Phantom Menace. There are 1,000 instances of questionable logic in this movie. Like, why did Queen Amidala reveal herself when she did? Okay, I'm going to answer these like the actual questions. So she can get the Naboo on her side, the Gungans on her side. Actually, what do you call someone from Naboo? Nabooian? Nubian? No, I don't know. Why did she want to go back to Naboo so badly? If it would do no good whatsoever, she would probably just get killed. See, this is really funny. This is really funny, Grifter84, because you just said the script was like a 1 grader did it, or like less than a 1 grader did it. But this was really obvious. Like, she spelt out why she wanted, like, she answered that actual question. They're like, don't go, you'll just get killed, like what you've just said here. And she literally says, like, I want to go help my people. Like, you have a problem with the simple, like, writing of the movie. But then you can't actually understand that simple writing, which is very funny. Super obvious. Are we supposed to believe that a 10-year-old is going to have twins with her eventually? Yeah, you know what? Little bit of validity to that. Little bit. But it works out in the end. Oh well. Why is she called the queen anyway if Naboo is supposed to be a democracy? Do the natives of Naboo share one collective brain cell to elect a teenager to run their planet? That's hilarious. Well, and to be fair, I'm currently reading the novelization of Phantom Menace, so maybe this has the answer in it. But I feel like that is kind of in the culture of Naboo, and I feel like, I mean, Grifty, if I'm just assuming you've watched any other sci-fi movies, like, if you can't suspend your belief that, like, there's, like, other alien cultures that exist in a different way than to, like, what you would have in, like, the state of Kentucky. Like, if you can't wrap your head around, like, made up cultural lifestyles like that, maybe sci-fi just as a genre isn't for you. I don't know. But what kind of name is Naboo anyway? even having a problem with the name Naboo is super funny. I love that. I love it. This is so funny. Grifter, you're a champ. This is so funny. You're such an idiot. Beyond that, it doesn't even make sense in terms of the rest of the established Star Wars universe. For example, the shields that repel the blaster fire obviously added so the death count would be lower and they could appeal to more family market. Why do we not see them later in the episode when they seem to be immeasurable tactical value? What do you mean later in the film? That's the end of the film. That's the end. The film ends because they used the shields. Why do we not see them later in the episodes? Oh, like later in the movies? Because it's a Nubian thing. It's a Nabooan thing. They're only on Naboo, I assume. Well, they're elsewhere. They come up in Clone Wars, but that wasn't a thing yet. As for so-called Phantom Menace conspiracy, does the initiation into the Jedi Knighthood include an IQ curtailment? I don't even know this word. You've one-ups me, Grifter. Look up. What's this word? Curtailment. The action or fact of reducing or restricting something. Okay, sure. Why didn't those clods clods? Why didn't those clods figure out? And once that Palpatine was behind it all along, in the end, I found myself rooting for Palpatine's Sidious simply because he was geometrically more intelligent than any other of the characters. Really, you're studying with the Emperor right now? And we'll probably do a pretty good job of ruling the universe. At least he would be a better Emperor than George Lucas is a screenwriter. That is such a wild comparison. He would be a better Emperor than George Lucas is a screenwriter. Grifter84. Do you want a revelation? Do you want to know who wrote in the screenplay Emperor Palpatine, who you so love, that you found yourself rooting for? Hilarious. I'd hate to tell you who wrote him. Anyway. Well, it seems that I didn't do a very good job of condensing it, but well, you have some perspective. There, I did criticize you at the start for that. I said you try to make it short, but it was very long, but at least you have some perspective. I give you that credit. That's hilarious. I'm ashamed to say that I saw the movie 3 times and hated it more each time. What? 3 times? That's pretty committed. That is grossed over 400 million. Makes me wonder that the entire American society doesn't grind to a halt as soon as someone sees a bright shiny object. Wow. Did I mention that the special effects were too amazing for their own good? What even is that critique? What does that mean? The final line of this whole thing is, did I mention that the special effects were too amazing for their own good? The movie was too good. That's your problem. That's hilarious. That is unheard. That is what if you're at the end, the summary of your big triumph at this is a 1 out of 10 critique is it was too amazing for their own good. It's so great. It's too great that I hated it. Oh man, this is so funny. This is so good. This is okay. Wow. Grifter84. Let's find him. I want to get him on the show. Let's have a live show with Grifter84. I want to talk to this guy. He's great. He is great. Okay, let's find another one from 1999. I specifically want 1999 people, so I think I've got another one. Here we go. The title has piqued my interest. 1 star, of course, out of 10. This is by RBR Nilly. Let's call him Nilly for short. I love it. The title reads, Less Jar Jar, More Darth Darth. Gotcha there. I feel taken. Ooh, this feels emotional. I feel like we're reading a poem or something. I feel taken. There is no kinder way to put that. Preparing to see the prequel to some of the most epic films that have ever been made, I, along with most of the world, became excited at the prospect of the new chapter in the saga. A chapter that promised to both have charm and aura of the old while incorporating new technology of the day. However, instead of the addition of new digital techniques in the epic story, we have a replacement thereof. Oh, I feel like I should do nearly in a British accent. Take, for instance, thereof? Who says thereof? God, my word. Take, for instance, the idea of a completely digital character. I sound like David Attenborough. In the words of Ian Malcolm. Who's that? Oh, he says, Jeff Goldblum's character, Jurassic Park. Man, I'm not a Jurassic Park fan, apparently. Your scientists were so concerned with whether they could do it that they nearly didn't stop to think if they should. Granted, Jar Jar Butt Monkey is what he is referred to. Is that, do I beep that out? Jar Jar Butt Monkey would have been far less intrusive, say only as much as, oh jeez, they're using big words on me here. Proctological? What in the crap is that word? Proctological exam. Is this something naughty? Maybe I should probably look it up. It's something naughty. Oh, it's something naughty. Were he not so abrasive in his voice, less likely to experience simultaneously chewing aluminium foil or scraping your nails across the blackboard, while a band of dwarven accordionists march in clockwise fashion around you playing in a tonal interpretation montage of Bette Midler's greatest hits. Jesus, on it, she's cracker. Wait, I can't even comprehend that sentence. Were he so not abrasive, his voice less like the experience of simultaneously chewing aluminium foil, scraping nails across a blackboard while a band of dwarven accordionists march in clockwise fashion around you playing a tonal interpretational montage of Bette Midler's greatest hits. Wow. Wow. That That is a description I could have never have dreamt of. Maybe. As far as the rest of the story goes, yes, the pod racing and the lightsaber fight, he put a space in lightsaber. I feel like he's a fake fan. Fight scenes are impressive, but they are not the story. They're simply moments. What are we left with after this weak attempt to recapture the audiences that 4, 5, and 6 enthralled? Wow, this guy is brutal. On point, Lucas' dialogue has always been ponderous at best. Revisit some of Princess Leia's lines from the original. He said Leia's, okay? This is a fake fan. We got a fake fan in our midst. He said Princess Leia, okay? Champ, you're starting to get a lot less credible to me from the originals if you disagree. In truth, he doesn't fail to return on that promise, but the lines do not come off with the same charm as the first movies held. Indeed, how could they when the lines themselves are delivered by a 2x4 accuracy? What? I submit the first scene. Oh, that's right. This guy's British, I think. Amidala and Anakin in the shop of the slave keeper. The scene contrived and the dialogue hollow. The characters are not talking to each other. They are making speeches at one another. Okay. Let's forget the Bette Midler musical circle around us. That's an interesting critique. That scene is making speeches of one another. I don't agree, but I can understand your perspective. What's his name? Really? Nilly. That's his. Really, really sure. The characters are not talking. Similarly, the scene that should have make even the most the ardent supporter of Lucas nod a tired nod of acceptance. Yes, the scene needed work. I care for you. Any who have seen the movie know the scene I refer to and can hardly deny the malconstruction of a character and story that forced that line from Anakin prematurely in his relationship with Amidala. Well, no, I found that quite a warm scene, so I disagree there. Great work. This guy's he went to the thesaurus for this critique, though. Don't you agree? I could go on. Well, you do anyway. Why try to scientifically explain the ability to use the Force? Why demystify what had once been referred to as an ancient religion? I don't mind the allegorical reference to the Christ story. Anyone who could not see the parallels in the original movies was asleep. This guy's just shitting on everyone. But I do not need the thinly veiled reference to mitochondria that served as the basis for the most potent power in the universe. Just let it be felt rather than explained. Okay, there's an element of what he's saying that I kind of get, but also I don't feel like they explained it. I guess they put a word to it, 100%. They put a word to it, midichlorians, and that to me was lore building. I didn't find that explained it because it's still just like, hey, some people have it, some people don't, and that's it. Like, they didn't overdo that, in my opinion. So it's interesting, but I get the sentiment of just like leaving it to be just showed, but I don't think they ever explained it at all. My only hope, this film's only saving grace is that it's a setup for 2 and 3. However, maybe I've already seen 2 and 3 and I don't know it. What does that mean? It's 1999. What acid are you taking that you're tripping that you already have seen 2 and 3? Maybe if I use the Lucas Plot Planner 2000, I can come up with what's going to happen in those films before they are released. That is hilarious. Patent pending. Opening. Sinister scene showing Ultimate Emperor does evildoers planning the ultimate evil things. Spice with chase scene. Speed is pod race, etc. Include Yoda climax. What? I can't. Hang on. What's this slew of words? There's semicolons. There's brackets everywhere. Lightsaber. Lightsaber draw with Vader and Obi. Why you got that one? Vader and Luke, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. But Jesus. Or Death Star of some reincarnation. Wow, that's actually really interesting to hear. Someone, I mean, I think he's just taking the piss, but someone trying to understand what 2 and 3 would be about, only seeing Phantom Menace. That is very fascinating. That is actually really interesting. He got like one thing right though, so it's, I mean, And again, he didn't spell Princess Leia's name right, so fake fan. Fake fan, baby. We'll do one more. Tremendous Disappointment from Antilles 7. 25th of May, 1999. Was that not the... No, this was 6 days. That's 6 days after it was released. Here we go. Antilles, what have you got for us? I have been a Star Wars fan since seeing it back in 1977 at the age of 13. I have seen A New Hope at least 20 times, Empire Strikes Back a dozen, Return of the Jedi more than once. Oh, wow, you really went downhill for you. At least 20 times too. Well, once, maybe once, yeah. I've read many of the novels and to this day still collect toys and action figures. Nice. I spent 8 hours in line for tickets and a seat. Finally seeing The Phantom Menace on the first day at 3 a.m. I desperately wanted to like it and made every attempt to make allowances to keep an open mind. But I couldn't do it. It was too pathetic. Interesting. Why do you think that, Antilles 7? Had this movie been made by someone else, I might not be so critical, but George Lucas has always insisted that cutting-edge effects and secondary to a good story. Do you disagree? Too bad someone close to him doesn't remind him of this. What? I've heard Lucas say he hates to write. Well, it shows. Most scenes are just too tedious, obligatory filler. Oh! Not the F word! Not the F... They're using the F word now. Crikey. Even the Phantom Menace is filler. Everything's filler. Forget it. It's all filler. Filler material between spectacular effects sequences. Rather than illustrate character through action and behavior, the script delegates the task to other characters to say out loud. So that's interesting. Because the other guy was like, oh, it's too explained. And now it's like, it's not explained. And we want less here and more here. Okay. So... Okay, I disagree, whatever. Even though the first movie appealed to both children and adults, many defend The Phantom Menace by saying it was made just for kids, but I find it hard to imagine that children caring about the trade disputes. Well, that's why it's for both. But it's simple. It's put simply so that you can understand it. You can understand they're coming to take over. Sure, like a 5-year-old won't be like, what's the political atmosphere around the trading routes of the Pacific? They're not going to say that, but they're going to know, oh, that alien's a baddie and that queen's the goodie, so they're taking their land, so that's bad. A kid's got to get that. Jeez. Oh, besides, how will these children in the audience react in a few years when their hero, Annie, grows up, turns evil and kills everyone? That, again, that's one of those great things. It's like, wow. Like, what an interesting point in time where people only knew Phantom Menace and they didn't know the other two. And they didn't really realize that kind of the journey you go on with Anakin. It's like, yeah, you're like, Vader is horrible, but like, it's this very complex relationship that we all have with Anakin because we all kind of love him, but then we kind of hate him. But what happened? Anyway, but yeah, again, interesting perspective. Kind of just cool to hear that actually. Perhaps George Lucas's biggest crime in his attempt to explain the Force in his scientific terms. This not only contradicted what had been established in other films, but it eliminated the one thing that distinguished Star Wars from standard science fictions, an element of fantasy. What, you're saying a walking, talking, frog ear flappy dude is not fantasy enough for you, Antilles? That's not fantasy? Anyway. Although the archetypes of the originals are here, a wide-eyed youth, a wise mentor, an alien sidekick, and a royal damsel in distress, this time it doesn't work. Keen characters and witty dialogue have been replaced by potty humor and pratfalls. Are you kidding me? The OP farting is the greatest scene in that film. This will be the last Star Wars film I ever see. Oh, rough and tough. Antilles, I wonder if you ever saw the other two. I want to see if you held your word there. That's super interesting. Whoa, heavy days. That's a little heavy. I don't mean this to get you down. This is purely for the just reality check of it's not that serious. Look, people in 1999 were losing their minds, and as much as sure they would have not enjoyed that experience at all, I hope they found something else to be happy about in life. But yeah, I staunchly defend the style choices for The Phantom Menace. I think it worked for the movie. I think it was strong. The characters they're archetypal, but they're very strong in how they were performed. Dialogue, simple as it may be, I think that aided into making the film feel really big and where we were in the galaxy feel really big. I think the simplicity of that added to the characters and the locations and the story. And I'm never going to change my mind about that. I think I'm always going to be a staunch defender of The Phantom Menace. thank you so much for watching this very, very long video. Maybe next week we go through some of like the 10 out of 10 ratings of the Phantom Menace. Maybe to get that foul taste of these 1-star reviews out of our mouth. But I appreciate you watching the video. Make sure you come hang out in our live streams that happen every week. We have a bunch of fun there talking everything Star Wars and in between. But before then, make sure as you're going about your day-to-day life that you always choose the race side.